Eyup, do you think Birmingham could get promoted? Really? I think it's quite a mixed bag with people saying yeah or no. I think a lot of people take them serious as a playoff contender. But I'm going to tell you why I think this could genuinely get promoted. There's only a couple little things that you could nitpick as serious areas of weakness. But Birmingham, to me, are definitely one of the strongest teams in Championship this year. Obviously, come up as EFL points record holders, which is its own thing. It is a record for a reason, guys. Nobody else has got that one. They are the best team ever, I guess you could say, by EFL standards from last season in League One. Do I actually think that best League One team ever, despite having League One record and EFL points record? No, not really. The best team I think I've ever seen in League One is the Ipswich side that actually comes second. But you look at what they went on to do after, and especially second half of the season, Ipswich were an absolute freak that year. I do think, though, when you look at what Ipswich went to do afterwards, straight through, finished second in arguably an harder league when you had Leeds who didn't even go up, and Southampton went up through playoffs, and Leicester got 100 points, I think they did. Ipswich finished on about 90-something points, I forgot exactly what it were. But this Birmingham side has had a lot more money put into it, has got much better players, I would say, in what is probably a much weaker league, a much more even league. I think Birmingham could easily do what Ipswich have done. Now, personnel-wise, everybody knows this anyway, I'd think the squad depth that Birmingham have got is one at best in this division. Off top of my head, I think that Ipswich have got a better squad, full squad. I wouldn't even say that Coventry have got a bench as good as Birmingham have, and Coventry are going to run away and win league. Maybe Southampton, but I think you are looking at comfortably one of the top 4 squads depth-wise in division. I would probably say second behind Ipswich, and that's it. I'm going to name some of the players that Ipswich have got sat on the bench. In the last recent couple of games, these are the lads that Ipswich have got sat on the bench that aren't even starting for him. Looking at Kyogo, who is now from Rennes, I believe, but were at Celtic, just incredible finisher. Lewis Koumas, Asai Samuel, Erin Cashin, Leonard, all on bench. These don't start. You've got Ethan Laird, who's out injured, a very good fullback. You've got someone like Four, who cost him, what, like £3.5 million, I think, like last season, the Icelandic fella. Crazy. A lot of these players would start for other top championship sides, like top half championship sides. I'm not talking about little stragglers down at bottom. Some of their squaddies that don't even start for them would walk in to Stoke or Preston or Millwall and start for them. And that's on Birmingham's bench. Don't even get me going on some starters that Birmingham have got. I think you're looking at comfortably with some best players in division in Gray on left wing for a start. I think Doyle at middle is severely underappreciated. And there's a reason that, well, only certain select few of championship sides could even get him from Wolves in first place if they wanted him. I've said this loads. I said this last season as well. By and large, the best player that Birmingham have got to me is Clara, that centre-back. I think he's an absolute mountain. I would say he's best defender in championship and the bottom in League One. He's an absolute nutcase how good he is. So, with incredible starters, some of the best players in league, one of the best squad depths in division, why are they not top 6? How can I sit here and say this when they're clearly underachieving at minute? Because they're 8th currently. They're on 28 points in 19 games, which is poor, really, by the standards that I expect of Birmingham. I think 28 points in 19 games is dog shit, really, because I know what they can do. And you're always harshest. My manager told me this when I was a kid. Is you're always harshest on the players of the teams that you know can do better. So you want to push them a little bit more. And I think Birmingham are just way underperforming for what they should be. Now, because it's such an even league, they're not far off playoffs anyway. Like I said, they're in 8th. They're only 2 points off 6, which is Stoke. They're only 6 points off 3rd place at minute, which is Millwall. And then if you want to go a little bit further up, they're 8 points off Middlesbrough, who are 2nd. And then let's not even bother comparing anybody to Coventry because you're just wasting your time. So they're not actually that far off. And this is with Birmingham not even doing out, really. They're not even got started by my eyes. I think they could do a lot more than what they are doing. And they're 6 points off, they're 8 points off Middlesbrough. So they're not far off at all. But let's look at what doesn't work first, because I really do not think you're looking at too many different things that ain't going right for Birmingham at the minute. Their away form, obvious. They've got 4th worst away form in division. Wednesday have got 2 less points in them. The absolute basket case that is Sheffield Wednesday have got 2 less points on road than Birmingham have. And Wednesday have played 2 less games. You have arguably got a worse away record than a League 2 fodder squad chucked in championship with no hope or anything. They've not even got anything to fight for. It's shocking how bad they are away from home. They've got 2nd lowest goals away from home as well, which is a real clear and obvious problem that they can't score enough. Or, well, I don't think it even is a creative problem. They're not scoring enough away from home. But they've also got one of the highest goals conceded, which is going under the radar a little bit. There are a few games where they conceded. You're not just going to conceding one. They are conceding a fair few in some games and just not even being in touching distance and nicking a point or something. That is something that's got to change. Now, not to make excuses for him, but I'm going to back him up right away. Because even though they have had a very, very shit start to season away from home, obviously because we are saying when the fourth bottom on it, but when you look at the run of fixtures that they've had away from home, I am not surprised that they've got easily one of the best home forms and comfortably one of the worst aways. Because when I read some of the teams that they've had away from home, they've had Leicester, Stoke, Coventry, Wrexham, Preston, Bristol City, Middlesbrough, West Brom and Southampton. I've left a couple out there, but they've still got Sheffield United and QPR away to come. One's in top half and one's won 4 in a row in Sheffield United. So that couldn't really get much harder. At a current top 12, bearing in mind obviously Birmingham are one of them, so you've got 11 potential away games at top half. Birmingham have had 7 of them. And the other ones that aren't at top half, you've still got Leicester, West Brom, Sheffield United. Despite them being really poor, them teams by their own standards, you're still going to some of the biggest grounds, biggest teams that have got big expectations and are going to make it hard for you, regardless of the fact that they're crap. So it's a very, very hard start away. Is it good enough to have an away form like that halfway through, regardless of the fact that they've had a really tough run? Is that good enough if you want to get promoted? Obviously not. No. But it will get easier as season goes on, because instead of going away to like Coventry and Stoke and all these, you're going to go away to Portsmouth and Wednesday and Swansea and Oxford. You know, the sides that they've had at home and obviously just swept aside a lot of these, they're going to play them away. So you're going from a place where Birmingham's own away form is like one completely up here and other one down at bottom. Just complete polar opposites to, as season goes on, it might be a little bit more like this. Not just hot and cold. You might just be hot and hot. You might just be shit up, bro. Because I don't look at that home form and think that it's going to slow down. I really don't. I think they'll be really good at home, regardless of who they're playing. So instead of it being so tipsy all the time, I think it'll level out and they'll go from having a really, really bad away form to that maybe coming up and just being all right. That might be all it takes. I'm not saying Birmingham are going to go from this to, oh yeah, well, you're second in form table for away by the time it's done, because it's not going to happen. But I think Birmingham's away standings could have them at least in and around like 10th, and their own form might be top 2. That might be enough. And from a play style point of view, the only real critique that I've got of Birmingham is that I think they're quite one-dimensional in how they attack. I do like them defensively, to be honest, even though they're conceding a fair few away. I do actually quite like them at back. But they are very straightforward and single-minded when it comes to attacking. I don't think they put anywhere near enough crosses in, / aren't good enough at getting on them. Now, this is from a bloke called Lou Orns on Twitter. He is very, very good, by the way. Would recommend a follow, mint. The profile of Birmingham's players just does not help, does it? They've got a lot of small players. Apart from 2 centre-backs, Clara and Phil Newman, and then Duck, I guess you could stay up front, out of the starters, like Gray, Robertson, Stansfield, Park Doyle, everybody in and around it that you think, oh, might get on Ender and header. Mate, these are like, what's average height to that? 5'9". They're obviously not going to win some headers. And when you've only got Duckles up front, it's going to be a problem. But I think that's where they're not using the squad properly, because you've got to place at division a little bit more. And especially when you're going away from home, it's a proven concept now that Birmingham can defeat low blocks quite easily. You look at the teams that they've had at home in the last few games that they've scored 4 past: Millwall, Portsmouth, Norwich. Millwall are obviously very good at minute, which shows in itself how good Birmingham are. But against Norwich and Portsmouth, 2 sides that are just going to come and sit and defend against you for the most part. Norwich should have a few shots, but Portsmouth didn't even get off bus. They broke them down really, really easily. Away from home, when you've not got as much at ball, you've not got as much time in final third. As soon as you touch ball in final third away at Southampton, they're going to hit you, aren't they? They're going to come and be on you straight away. So I think they've got to be a bit more forward thinking and go, just get it into the box quite quickly. And this is where probably my main problem is coming from. I don't think they're playing league properly, but I don't think they're getting enough out of players like Lyndon Dykes, who are specialists in certain things. When you're losing away at Southampton, or you're drawing away at West Brom, or you're losing away at Bristol City, these type of games, you've got to get 2 big men on quicker. Like, obviously, Duck is quite good, but take a Stansfield off. Someone like that centrally. So I'd still keep your Gray and your Roberts and them players that can ping a ball into the box for him, yeah. But essentially, I'd have Stansfield off and I'd have Dykes on if you're losing game away from home, and I'd do it a lot quicker. Because the minutes that he's getting, Dykes, when you're chasing games, he's not a technically good footballer. He's nowhere near the standard of some of the other players. But he's an absolute lump, and he's someone that you need. I think Davis, he's a good manager. I think he's proved that so far. But I also think he's a bit naive in his approach and unwillingness to adapt in certain situations. Because the away games recently Away at Southampton, you lost 3-1. You got 5 minutes. Away at West Brom, you drew 1 apiece. You could have easily won that game. It didn't even come off bench. Away at Middlesbrough, you lost 2-1. You got 11 minutes. Away at Bristol City, you lost 1-0. You got 15. This is nowhere near enough minutes for someone who can just pin a defender like this and you can bounce ball off him. You can ping it at him any height, anywhere, and it'll just bounce off him and it might fall to a Roberts or a Gray or Duck or someone else. Get balls into box faster and get him onto pitch quicker. And that's the only fault that I've got really with Birmingham so far. There's not many to go at. The positives just obviously massively outweigh the negatives that are there. For expected points, the one at top, like they're in and around very top draw company and all the way. Coventry, Middlesbrough, Southampton. That is probably the big four that everybody expected something of before the season started. I don't think people expected Coventry to do as well as they have, but everybody had them in playoffs at least. And then Southampton and Ipswich, 2 sides that come down with boatloads of money and no looming points deduction over the red light Leicester. Plus Birmingham coming up with EFL points record. You expect them 4 to be up there. And they're playing like they deserve to be up there, but they're not getting outlined enough, Birmingham. For expected goals, they're 3rd in division. They're performing like a top team. The consistency away from home is the only flaw. However, with January around corner, these are going to spend like a lot. I'm not saying they're going to go and bring 15 players in because I don't think they need to. The squad depth's insane. The squad itself is really good. They've got some top players. I think it might be a case of Birmingham go and spend 12 million quid on 2 players. And that's all they need. They might go and get another striker. They might get a midfielder just to pack it out a little bit more if they need to. But the players that they will bring in will cost a lot of money and it'll be absolute quality as well. And when you look at where Birmingham are and the teams that are around them at a minute, let's just set current top 12, for example. The only teams that I see potentially finishing in front of Birmingham, I'm not saying I actually think they will, but I think they could finish in front of Birmingham. I'm looking at, obviously, Coventry. That's too far gone. I think Middlesbrough could. I think Ipswich could. And I think Southampton could. I really like Millwall. I think Birmingham across a full season will finish in front of Millwall. I think they definitely will. Preston, Stoke, Bristol City, Hull, QPR, Wrexham. Birmingham, I think, are a playoff side at the very, very least. Top 2 might be a bit of an ask just because of Ipswich starting to turn it on a little bit more. And obviously the money aspect, they can match you if not spend more than you, Ipswich, with like the Premier League money and stuff like that. So Ipswich coming into it a little bit more now. That's something that worries me. Also, Middlesbrough being 8 points in front here is quite a cushion. And we have Middlesbrough played the last couple of games, despite them not being in and around these conversations, underlying stats-wise, clearly they are a very, very good team. And this manager, I think, is only going to make them better. So the 8-point cushion there from Middlesbrough, and obviously Ipswich coming into it a little bit more and expecting to be up there. I think top 2 might be a little bit too much to ask for. But for a playoff side, I would back Birmingham. Definitely. The home form speaks for itself. You're looking at a 2-legged fixture. Yes, we've lost a lot of games away. An odd couple, they have lost by more than 1 goal. But I won't be surprised to see Birmingham go into playoffs against anybody. Say if they got like a Preston or a Stoke, I think they'd annihilate them at home. When crowds up for it and the squad depth that they've got, I think the home game would just win them it and go through anyway. I would back Birmingham for a playoff campaign, therefore. I think they can do it. Like, realistically, the position I'm in now, I think Coventry win league. I'm looking at either Middlesbrough or Ipswich for 2nd place. And then, obviously, the loser of that to be in playoffs. I think Southampton will be in playoffs, Birmingham and Millwall. That's probably where I'm at. And honestly, I think I'd back Birmingham to beat a lot of them over 2 legs in at Wembley. I really think Birmingham could do it. That's that. It's been an absolute pleasure. Love you all. In case, make sure you like, subscribe if you do enjoy it. And in my Brummy boys, love you very much. I'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying is a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.